Hey everybody, this is Medic from Medic Media Productions, bringing you the first installment of the East Ridge Hobbies 1/10 scale 4x4 pickup truck build video. Now I've never actually done a build video before, but I thought what a great place to start with this truck. I've always wanted to build one, and I figured I might as well bring you guys along on the trip. East Ridge Hobbies is in Calgary, Alberta. They have donated this Tamiya truck. This is a 1/10 scale Toyota Tundra high lift 4x4. Bumper to bumper, this thing is as scale as you can get. We're going to be controlling that truck with an Airtronics RDS 8000 8-channel radio. This is a digital system, 2.4. Some hop-ups right out of the box that we're going to be building it with. This is a Tekken FXR electronic speed control. It's going to be coupled with the brushed system of a 55-turn motor, also from Tekken. The steering assembly is going to be a team-associated XP Digital DS1015 high torque servo. Also, we're going to be installing a 3 racing winch. This is a 1/10 scale actual functioning winch, and we're going to be wrapping each tire and rim with 2 wraps of 7-ounce tire weights each. We're going to be powering this unit with a 2-cell LiPo, 1900 milliamp hour, 7.4. We're going to be powering the winch with just a couple of saddle packs. These are 1500 milliamp hours, just a generic pack. We don't mind getting wet. And we're going to have a fairly neat color scheme. I've got some extra parts on the way. Won't tell you what they are yet. You're going to have to tune in for further videos. But basically, when we're done with this truck, it is going to have one mean stance. Well, right out of the box, I'm certainly not disappointed with the amount of parts that we have to put together here. I've actually had to stack them on top of each other. Basically, I'm looking at a cab and the box, the back box of the truck, the chrome accents, the differential covers. I'm actually going to take a few moments off camera just to sort through this. Something that caught my eye was this box full of Toyota Tundra lift stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this stuff, I'm going to break it down, I'm going to have a peek at that the instruction manual. So one of the things I wanted to focus on right from the get-go was this instruction manual from Tamiya. They have done an incredibly good job packing these 34 pages of the instruction book with as much information as possible. On the inside cover, you're going to see the pieces that aren't included with your kit that you're going to need. This is your couple of servos, the ESC, the radio, all those things that everyone needs for a crawler. The second page gets into explaining how gear shaft A and B are assembled, how they're going to fit into the transmission assembly, the actual assembly of the 3-speed transmission, and then of course how to attach it to the frame rails of the truck itself. This is already getting into steps 9 and 10 on page 8, so I'm going to stop it right here. I'm going to lay out the parts for the gear shaft assembly, and we're going to have a look at that when I start to put it together. Alright, after actually figuring out what pieces go where, I've been able to get together gear shaft A and gear shaft B. Next is going to come the gearbox plate and how we all work that together for the transmission. So I'll get that part started, completed, and I'll bring you back to see the rest. Okay, a note to those who are watching with this truck. I put together the transmission, as you can see, and that was actually quite challenging. One of the things I want to tell the folks that are going to build this truck is make sure you've got this shifting shaft in the right way. I actually had it flipped around the wrong way there, and so I had to take that back plate off and get in that gearing again. So one thing I wanted to point out, make sure that's the right way. Okay, so now that we've got the 3-stage gearing inside the transmission done, we're going to complete the final gearing system. This is going to go on the front of the transmission. It's going to include the brass pinion gears, as well as the slipper clutch and pressure plates in preparation for the motor that we're going to use. So there we are. The last piece of the transmission is finally put on. The motor is mounted and the shielding plates are in place. Basically, the only thing we have to do now is put on this collar for the shifting rod, so when we're actually controlling it later on, this little armature piece is going to pull it back and forth. So I can probably just do that here quickly now. I hate these collars, they're always a bugger to put on. I use bigger than normal pliers, sometimes it helps. Put the collar on like this, put the second E-clip right on. Get that snapped into place, just like that. I'm going to turn this around just so the camera can see it. Yeah. I'm going to put in this little screw. Basically, this is going to hook up to the coupling on the servo that's going to go back and forth and shift these gears. As you can see, that basically comes in and out like that. So anyway, the motor mount is done, everything's in place. Let's move on to the frame rails. For this shot, I put the transmission and the frame rails in the right direction so you can have an idea of how they're supposed to go. I've also laid out all the screws so you can measure it up and to see just from the video where they're supposed to be placed. One of the things to keep in mind is the cross braces that you're going to be looking for, they are actually in plastic, so keep your eye out for that. Something else I thought I would mention is not all the cross pieces are in the same bag. So if you're looking for these plastic pieces here, the one that you're actually looking for is in this big bag. Alright, so the frame is complete for the truck, the transmission is mounted, so is the motor. All the braces are in place and everything is nice and tight. It's time to move on and do the front bumper. Alright, I've laid the parts out for the bumper. We get to introduce our first chrome piece into the mix. Look at that. Tamiya did a good job. Don't you hate it when you know that you're using the wrong screws and you find out at the end after you've already put it together? Let's do the front and rear differential and put the axle assemblies together. The pin comes out the other side. This one goes in, right into the gear, like that. I'm going to be running this in 4x4 competitions, so I'm going to want that differential to be locked up. And in the book it's not very clear, but if you flip to the back pages, it'll actually show for you to put in this little 2mm Allen key screw. I'm going to finish off this back axle so you guys can see it. You can see I've already done the assembly and we're ready to install the side steering arms. To attach the leaf springs to the axle housing, you have to use these long bolts. It's a little easier to see them in color. I was looking for them for a little while. You also have to make sure that the leaf springs themselves are lined up nice and flush, because you've got to be able to go through these two holes. Those two holes, the bolts basically have to go through. Okay, so now it's time to mount the differential and the axle housing to the frame. I'm actually looking forward to seeing what these turn out like. You want to make sure to use lots of Loctite on it. It is supplied in the kit. These little Allen screws, they certainly like to back off, especially in the most inconvenient places when you're out in the trail. So use your Loctite, make sure the drive shaft's on tight, and you won't have a problem.